Yeah, I got a bucket.
Now, I was going to do this at the beginning, but I'm just going to pass this around. Now, these things that are pushing us away, I'm pretty sure, how many of y'all have y'all cell phones on you? A lot of y'all. I'm not going to take them up. I promise we have like 3 minutes left. I'll take them up for like 5 minutes. Now, that's just not saying that, hey, Jonathan's going to keep your phone. This is saying that, hey, push needs to keep your phone. No, it's just saying, hey, I'm devoting this to God. This is on my original PowerPoint, which I couldn't get out. I call it a time offering, or a thing that these things that are pushing you away. I mean, cell phones are amazing. I used to call Clayton last night. It's pretty cool. But all right, but what else can you do with it? I mean, you can go on the internet, do all sorts of crazy stuff that you probably shouldn't be doing. So as I pass it around, iPods, anything, we'll get it back, I promise. Christian might take it.
I like
Yeah. So this, as I pass it around, I'm just gonna ask you to just put it in there as just a token to God for what you want.
My phone sucks. Does that count?
It doesn't matter, man.
Because I mean it broke. I mean, it's a good phone, it's broke. Yeah, okay, whatever, it's already broken.
I just wanted to say that, it's along the same lines of what Jonathan's talking about, but there's a story in Acts about a man named Eutychus, and he was all the disciples were up, gathered in this upper room, and they were, listening to some preaching. I think it was Paul was preaching, and they had these crazy services, back in the early days of the church where they just go all night. And so Paul was preaching all night, and Eutychus is sitting up in this window of this building, and this is just kind of like an analogy spun off that story. But Paul's preaching all night, and Eutychus he's really tired, and so he begins to fall asleep, and he's not holding on to the words that Paul's saying, and he's just sitting on that window. And everyone else is inside, and they're hearing God's word, they're experiencing God, and he sees it, he witnesses what's going on in there. He sees God doing works, but he's not exactly a part of it. He's just kind of in the window, and as he sits in that window, at one point he falls asleep, and he falls down out of the window. He doesn't fall toward the inside of the building, but he falls toward the outside. He falls down like 3 stories or something, and he's dead on the ground right there. And of course, Paul, he comes down afterwards, and everyone's freaking out because this guy just fell out of the window while he was preaching, and Paul goes down there, and he actually, he's like, actually, this guy's actually not dead, and Eutychus gets back up again somehow. He was dead, but Paul, prayed over him, and he got back up. But the point of it is that there's a thing that there's different places we can live. We can live on the periphery. That's just that's the peripheral, the outside. We can live kind of on the edge where we can see everything that's going on, and you might even feel it sometimes. You might even say, I feel God right here. But that's different than being on the inside, than living on the inside. And if you're sitting on the periphery and you fall one direction or the other, you better hope that you're falling on the inside, not on the outside. Falling on the inside into the arms of God. But it's a dangerous place to live. So we need to live on the inside.
I was talking to, we actually met up on Tuesday, like we were all talking, and I was telling him something. I heard a story from something. Sorry. I think that's Tom. Anyways, I was telling him a story about something I heard, and it was talking about how, like, a long time ago, the devil and the demons were all sitting down, and like, all right, they're like a big board meeting, because that's what the devil does. He has meetings with people all the time. He has a business too. Any cards, of course, a wallet. Here's GP. Anyways. He was talking to the demons, and he was like, all right, so, what's the best way we can get people to, turn away from God? So one of the demons was like, oh, I'm just trying to get, be a big shot businessman. He's like, all right, here's my plan. We're going to tell him that God doesn't exist. And the devil's like, well, I've already done that. That works a little bit, but, I think we can get then this other guy raises his hand. He's like, all right, let's just tell them they can't believe anything until they know it's real. They have to feel it. Let's try to take away faith from them. He's like, well, that's been done. How about we move on a little bit? And then finally this other guy raises his hand. Another guy, and then actually, he says, how about we tell them that God's real? Everything is real that's in the Bible, but they have more time. And that's the one that's worked the most for God. And in that video right there, he was like, I'm not ready. Because he thought he had more time. But you never know when that time's going to come. I mean, you can walk out this room and the building could fall for all you know. There's been weirder stuff that happened to people. Yeah, make sure that your heart is right with God at any moment in time. Make sure that no matter what, before that day is out, that you know where you're going, because at any moment in time, it could be over.
Yeah, a gas pipe explosion killed 8 people in California.
Exactly. So just make sure you know what's going on in your life, and make sure you know where your heart is in connection with God. And make sure that if you don't know, then talk to someone. I mean, I look around here real quick. There's a bunch of people. This is more than I've ever seen. I've been doing this since like 7th grade, just so much we were at. So just look around, and if you ever need to talk to anybody, me, Clayton, Jonathan for sure. But then I see tons of people here that I'm sure would love to talk to you. So.
I'm going to close in a few minutes, but I just want to say, just closing thing for this lesson. When that plane takes off, and you're not on it, not only will you feel like you're probably the stupidest person on the planet, but you're saying, that's my plane. I don't know if any of you missed the plane before. But it's just that feeling. You see it taking off, and you're like, gosh. But after that, you go and get on another plane. You just take off on that one and go to the same place. There's only one plane. And it's big enough to carry everybody. The article's pretty big too. But I don't think we're animals. Hopefully, if you have twins, then you become twins. That's a good thing.
But if you're a triple, you're kind of screwed.
If it was Halloween and someone came up to me with this, I'd be like, yeah, I don't want candy.
You also got to remember that Jesus takes you as you are. So,
Yeah.
Why not get on the plane?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that we need to have a sense of urgency about it because it's real and it matters and has eternal consequences are associated with it. But we don't have to be afraid because we've been promised, and I've been trying to learn more about God for mostly since like 6th grade, and he's never fallen back on a promise to me, and we can trust him, and he's promised each of us. I think it's Stephen Cole said that he's got like a mansion for each of us, in heaven. He's invited each of us. He's expecting each of us, and we need to have a sense of urgency about it because there are things in this world that will try to pull us away. But God's promised. He's for us, and he's going to be against us.
Yeah. So basically, how many of y'all know someone who's borderline that, trying to make that decision whether to get on the plane or not? Actually, everybody. We talked about it yesterday. It's the core group right here. It's us. It's us versus everyone. Us versus the 2,000 or the 290, 950, something like that. So as we come to this, just trust in Him, and that as kind of a ministry thing too. Just go out there and be what God wants you to be, and try to bring people that plan in. Just don't ever forget that you don't know who can come when that bell rings. Could come in 10 minutes from now. You never know. So I'm going to prayer and just kind of think about ways you can either help or ways you can yourself become more with God and be able to. And if you're not on the plane yet, just think about it and really consider it because you don't know when He's coming. Lord God, I thank you for today. As we go into this school, Lord, I pray that you just be able to watch over every single one of us. I pray for this school that you just be able to lift it up, Lord, that you just up the school with 50, Lord. That you just be able to come and strengthen them with everything. Lord God, guys were going to this, classes, going to the hallways, people would notice it was different. I pray that you just help them just realize that we're a light on the hill, so the darkness will shine. So I got donuts. Y'all have a good day.
Hey, make sure you come back next week, alright?
Hey guys, listen real quick. We really need your help to get the chairs back to Mr. Bond's room and to Ms. McMahon's room.
So
Can y'all make sure?
yeah, we got it
that?
covered.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, everyone can go.
Hey, if you guys need to get some